Suite Engine's Channel Sales Manager extension, or CSM for short, allows you to integrate your Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central software to an external e-commerce platform. This gives you the freedom to conduct your online business with a popular feature-rich platform such as Shopify or Amazon, while still being able to use your ERP system. CSM is embedded directly within your Business Central environment, allowing for a streamlined communication between Business Central and your external platform. The central setup record in CSM is what we call the sales channel. You set up separate sales channels for each connected platform, and in some cases, you may set up multiple sales channels for the same platform. A sales channel contains the necessary links and credentials for you to access your external e-commerce platform. The sales channel also has a number of setup and configuration options that allow you to configure the manner in which activities are retrieved and processed in Business Central. Accordingly, the first thing you want to do when working with CSM is to create a new sales channel. It's possible to manually set up a sales channel, but CSM includes a quick setup wizard for each platform, and it's strongly recommended that you use this wizard to at least create your first sales channel. And this video is going to walk through that process. As we begin the video, we're operating under the assumption that you have created a trial subscription for CSM so that you have access to the extension's functionality. We've published a separate video on this process. If you require assistance, I encourage you to review it. So the setup wizard I was referencing is run from the CSM setup page. This is where you manage your various Suite Engine subscriptions. This page can, as always, be accessed via search. But as a quick little note, CSM includes a dedicated role center that you can enable, which I've done here. If you choose to enable it, you can access the CSM setup page directly from the role center, as I'm doing now. Okay. Now in this scenario, you can see that we have some active subscriptions for Amazon and Magento. We have Shopify installed, but we have not set up a subscription for it yet. Accordingly, if I choose the Actions ribbon, you'll see that we have some quick setup options for Amazon and Magento, but not for Shopify. For Shopify, we have this free trial action. Just to kind of illustrate how this works, I'm going to quickly apply for my Shopify trial. You can see we now have an active trial for Shopify. And if I return to the Actions ribbon, the Shopify trial action is gone, and it's been replaced with this Shopify quick setup action instead. So let's use Shopify. Let's run the Shopify quick setup wizard. The look and feel of the setup wizard is going to change slightly from channel to channel, but overall the process is the same. So on the first page, we are prompted to load CSM triggers and Shopify API data. So in a nutshell, each channel is going to include the necessary, or I should say each extension includes the necessary API functions that are pre-configured to send and retrieve data from the relevant platform. So in this case, as part of the Shopify extension, there are a number of predetermined APIs that facilitate communication with Shopify. By enabling these options here, we will instruct CSM to load the data. This other option here, Create Sales Channel, this will instruct the wizard to create a new sales channel record for Shopify. You will always have these options, and we strongly recommend that you enable all three of them. This load optional shipping carriers action is something that is unique to Shopify. So this would not necessarily be available on all platforms. Let's proceed to page 2. The second page of the wizard is where you define the channel's API set as well as its credentials. So remember, I was just talking about all the API functions that are included as part of the extension. Well, they are all collected into what we call an API set. And each sales channel will have an assigned API set. That API set's functions are going to dictate the way that that channel's activity is processed. This is really nice and flexible functionality because it allows you to use the same API set for multiple channels within the same platform. So maybe we have multiple Shopify storefronts. We would set up separate sales channels for each storefront in Business Central, but we could assign the same API set to them. This would ensure that activities are going to be processed against each storefront in a consistent way. Um, it's also really nice if you're creating customizations or making changes. You only need to make the changes to the one API set, and it's going to take effect to all channels to which it's been assigned. Um, for each API set, it's necessary to specify credentials. These credentials are obtained from the e-commerce site, and they are going to be what permits CSM to send and retrieve data to the external platform. The specific credentials that are required will vary from platform to platform, and thus the fields displayed here are going to differ as well. So these are Shopify specific requirements that we need to enter. So that was a lot of information. Basically, in terms of what we need to enter on this page, typically the default settings for the API set code and description are going to be fine. The credential values are going to be, they're going to depend again on what the specific platform requires. Suite Engine has created videos that explain how to retrieve this information for each platform. So if you require assistance in obtaining this information, please locate and review the video that's relevant to you. You can also leave the credentialing information blank if you don't know what it is. You can enter this information later. I'm actually going to leave it blank for now. But note that you will eventually need to enter these values in order to start communicating with the external platform. The next page is where you're going to enter identifying information about the sales channel or channels that you wish to create. Again, the options here are going to vary from platform to platform. In this particular case, we are creating a single option to create a Shopify channel. The wizard prompts you to enter a code and a description. Some default values are provided, but you can change these to be more meaningful to you. So maybe we call this after this, we're going to be presented with a page that prompts us to load our data. Click Next. Wait a moment. And CSM has created a new sales channel record based on the information we entered in the wizard. I can click Finish, and I'll close the CSM setup page. To view the newly created sales channels, again, as always, we can search on CSM sales channels. You'll notice that because I'm working with that CSM Role Center, we have a fact box here that shows any existing sales channels, and you can see that we have a new one that's been added here. So let's just open this and take a quick look at it. So this is our new sales channel. You can see the code and the description are based on what we entered in our wizard. You can see there's a lot of setup fields here. In some cases, the wizard has entered information automatically for us. This sales order build code unit, for example, is automatically populated by the wizard. And we're not going to get into all of the various tabs down here. I do want to come down to this API data fast tab. I think this is relevant. I talked about the API set, and you can see that, I put this in edit mode, we have this API set called Shopify, and that was the setting we had in our wizard. It's been automatically created, and it's been assigned to this particular uh, sales channel. This is the collection of API functions that we talked about earlier. Um, had I entered credentials when working through the wizard, we would also have a new API credential record that was created for this API set. If we wanted to take a look at that, we would choose Actions, API and Automation, and API Credentials. And it's going to be blank because I didn't populate anything when we were working with the wizard. So in this particular scenario, I would need to manually set up an API credential record for the API set. But as you can see, we have a new sales channel that's been created for us, based on our wizard settings. Let's quickly close this out and let's walk through the quick setup wizard for another platform just to kind of illustrate the similarities and the differences that you'll see maybe from platform to platform. So let's open the CSM setup page, and this time let's run the quick setup wizard for Amazon. You'll notice here that we have this web service type field. We didn't have that for Shopify. I'm not going to get into that in detail now, but very briefly, Amazon has both what we would call modern and legacy API sets, and they're both supported by CSM. As part of the initial setup, it's necessary for you to specify which API set you want to use so that the proper records are being loaded. So we would say, when we use the modern sets, we'd say SP API. But other than that, we have those same options to load the API data and also create the sales channel, which I'm going to enable. We continue on to page 2. We can see again, we are presented with the ability to define a code and description for the Amazon specific API set, as well as all of the various credentials. And the overall requirements are the same. The specific credentials themselves are very different. That is going to be determined by the platform. Again, if we look at the sales channel page, now you'll see this is a little bit different. On the Shopify page, we were able to create a single channel. Here we actually have a little bit more in terms of our options. Again, without getting too into Amazon specifically, CSM for Amazon supports multiple what are called fulfillment methods. One's called FBA, one's called FBM. So again, we provide the option to select what kind of channel or channels you want to create. Maybe we only have an FBM relationship with Amazon, in which case we would turn this off and indicate we only want to create the FBM channel. Maybe we do both, so we can leave them both on. And again, when we create the channels based on these settings, certain values will automatically be populated for us. Again, we can also enter more relevant codes and descriptions for us. I'm just going to leave them for now. And I'm going to click Next. Again, we're prompted to load the data. Click Next again. We'll wait a minute. The process is completed. Let's finish our wizard. Let's exit the CSM setup page. And you can see we have a few more channels that have been created, an FBA and an FBM channel. And again, depending on what we have, if I minimize this a slight bit, you can see some of the values are automatically assigned to us. We have separate values depending on what our channel is, FBA versus FBM. And that's pretty much it. I know we just kind of covered a lot here, but when you really get down to it, it should be pretty simple to create a new sales channel thanks to the setup wizard. As we saw, the process is pretty much the same across all platforms. There's very typically going to be a few platform-specific requirements. Credentials are a great example. The specific credentials you're prompted for are always going to change from platform to platform. And what I would say there is consult the relevant CSM documentation for your given platform if there's a particular requirement or setting that requires further explanation. But on the whole, the process is pretty much the same from channel to channel, or I should say platform to platform. At this point, you are now ready to configure your sales channel settings to reflect your operational and accounting preferences. And again, if you didn't input your credentials as part of the setup wizard process, you would want to do that now. All of these setup activities are covered in additional videos. Please review them as needed.